Most people assume wealthy people just worked harder, got lucky, or started with more. That's not wrong exactly, but it's incomplete in a way that costs people years. The part that doesn't get talked about isn't the hustle or the inheritance. It's a set of quiet beliefs about money that rarely make it into interviews or advice columns. Not because they're hidden on purpose, but because they're uncomfortable to say out loud. Some of them contradict what sounds responsible. Some of them would make a personal finance influencer genuinely nervous. And some of them are so obvious in retrospect that you'd wonder why nobody said them earlier. This isn't about copying rich people's lifestyle or pretending circumstances don't matter. It's about understanding how a different relationship with money actually functions day to day. Belief 1. Income is not the goal, it's the raw material. A lot of people optimize for a higher salary and stop there. Someone earning $90,000 and spending $88 isn't actually building anything. Someone earning $55,000 and keeping $18,000 free is in a structurally different position. The gap between what comes in and what stays is where everything starts. Income matters, but what you retain and for how long is what actually compounds. Belief 2. Most financial stress is a cash flow problem, not an income problem. This one surprises people. Two different households can earn the same amount and have completely different financial lives. The one with irregular billing cycles, overlapping due dates, and no buffer is always one car repair from panic. The one with a simple system and a small float isn't rich, but they're not fragile either. Managing timing, not just totals, is something most financial advice skips. Belief 3. Debt has two completely different versions, and most people only fear one. Consumer debt, high interest, revolving, attached to things that depreciate. That's one version. It quietly costs people thousands per year in interest while barely moving the principal. The other version is debt used to acquire something that generates return. Most people are never taught to separate these two. They either avoid all debt out of fear, or they carry the wrong kind out of habit. Belief 4. Most people spend to reduce discomfort, not to buy things. This one is a little uncomfortable to say, but it explains a lot of spending patterns. The delivery order at 11 p.m., the subscription that's easier to keep than cancel, the upgrade that wasn't needed. A lot of discretionary spending is emotional spending with a product attached. Wealthy people aren't immune to this, but many of them learn to see it clearly, and that visibility changes behavior. Belief 5. Waiting to invest until you feel ready is a form of loss. There's a version of financial caution that looks responsible but functions as avoidance, waiting for more information, a better moment, a cleaner budget. Meanwhile, time is the one input that can't be bought back, and it's being spent waiting. A small amount, invested consistently for a long time, does things that a larger amount started late cannot replicate. This isn't about taking reckless risk. It's about understanding that hesitation has a cost too. Belief 6. Your circle affects your financial baseline more than most people admit. This doesn't mean cutting off friends. It means recognizing that social environments create invisible spending floors. If everyone around you leases a new car every 3 years, that starts to feel like the normal thing to do. If everyone around you takes expensive group trips, opting out becomes socially costly. These aren't individual failures of willpower. They're environmental pressure that rarely gets named. Belief 7. Being seen as financially responsible is not the same as being financially healthy. Some people have immaculate credit scores and almost nothing saved. Some people drive older cars, live in modest places, and have real optionality in their financial lives. The version of money that's visible is often optimized for appearance. The version that actually builds stability is usually invisible from the outside. Belief 8. Tax thinking is not just for wealthy people, it's for anyone with income. Most people interact with taxes once a year and feel vaguely wronged by the result. Understanding how withholding works, how deductions function, how timing affects liability, that's not advanced finance. It's basic literacy that the system doesn't particularly incentivize you to have. A lot of money gets left on the table simply because people don't know the questions to ask. Belief 9. Net worth is the number that matters, not the number on your paycheck. Paycheck size is what people talk about. Net worth is what people actually live off of eventually. Someone can earn well for 20 years and retire with very little if the gap was always spent closed. Net worth is assets minus liabilities, and it moves slowly, then all at once. Most people don't track it. Some don't even know what theirs is. Belief 10. Financial optionality is worth more than most people realize until they lose it. Optionality just means having real choices available when something changes. The ability to leave a bad job, handle a medical bill, or say no to a bad deal. That kind of freedom doesn't come from income alone. It comes from a cushion that took time to build. People who have it often don't talk about it. People who don't have it feel its absence every week. Belief 11. Most people overestimate what a raise will fix. There's a version of this that plays out constantly. Someone gets a meaningful salary increase, adjusts their lifestyle within 6 months, and feels the same financial pressure as before. Spending tends to expand into available income without a deliberate structure in place. A raise without a revised system often just produces a more expensive version of the same problem. Belief 12. The financial decisions that matter most are made infrequently. Not the coffee, not the takeout, not the small daily friction that gets blamed for everything. The house you buy, the car payment you commit to, the loan you co-sign, the insurance you skip. A few large, infrequent decisions drive most of the financial outcome over a lifetime. Optimizing small things while leaving large structural decisions unexamined is a misdirection that sells a lot of budgeting apps. Belief 13. Most financial advice is written for people who already have stability. Save 3 to 6 months of expenses. Max your retirement contributions. Build an emergency fund first. All of that is reasonable. None of it accounts for someone with variable income, no buffer, and bills due before the next deposit clears. The standard advice assumes a foundation that a significant portion of people are still trying to build. That gap between the advice and the reality is where a lot of people quietly give up and assume the system isn't for them. Belief 14. Compounding works in both directions, and most people only hear about one side. Everyone gets told about investment compounding, money growing on itself over time. Fewer people are told that high-interest debt compounds the same way, just working against you. A balance carried on a card at 20% interest doesn't stay flat. It grows. Miss a few minimum payments, and watch how quickly a manageable number becomes something else entirely. The same mathematical force that builds wealth quietly destroys it if it's pointed the wrong way. Belief 15. Money itself doesn't create clarity, it amplifies whatever system was already there. Someone with chaotic spending habits and no structure doesn't become organized because their income doubles. Someone with a clear system and real discipline can build something meaningful on a modest income over time. More money handed to a broken system usually just produces a bigger version of the same problem. This is why lottery winners and professional athletes go broke, and why some teachers retire with real financial security. The system precedes the money, not the other way around. None of these beliefs require a high income to apply. Most of them require a shift in how money is actually seen. Not as a reward for working hard, not as something that arrives and gets allocated to obligations, but as something that moves through a system, and the quality of that system determines what stays. The self-check worth sitting with: which of these 15 maps closest to a belief you currently hold that might not be serving you? Not as a judgment, just as a starting point.